guys, thank you so much for coming and hanging out with me on a beautiful, blustery and frigid Tuesday in South Texas. How's everybody doing, man? How's the new year treating you? How's your week going? Introduce yourselves. Let everybody know who you are.
Well, our names are under us, but John with A&J Outdoors, and I'm one of the crew. And I've had a very busy week so far. This weekend was cool, pretty chill, but this week has been super busy work-wise and all that fun stuff.
It's been a week. It's been a week for sure.
Already.
And we'll be discussing that. I'm sorry, Grant. Go ahead. What you got?
Not had a bad couple of days at work. We had a terrible weekend to do anything outdoors.
Weather.
It's been. We'll see what happens this week. We went cold and rain and cold and 2 inches of rain and see what happens.
Look.
What's up, David?
I'm Dave. I'm Playin Hooky sport fishing. I'm a charter captain from Sheboygan, Wisconsin. I'm also a teacher here in Wisconsin. And, I've been fans of your guys for quite some time, enjoying the Facebook Messenger group that we're all in. And I figured I had to get in on the action, and the sooner the better. My week's been a little bit mixed, I guess. I had a really great day today, was feeling really, really good, but yesterday was the opposite. I don't know what I came down. I think I had a little bit of food poisoning or something, but all better now and looking forward to this.
Yes. Glad you're feeling better and could join us today.
Thank you.
Yeah, hey, it is a total pleasure, and we're going to be getting into you in just a moment here. I've got we're going to be pulling in some pictures. We're going to be taking a look at Playin Hooky sports fishing. You, well, just before, I've got some backstory with you too that we're going to talk about because I missed an opportunity to hang out with you. I think it was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And I've regretted it ever since. I apologize on that.
Yeah.
My uncle is asking us over here if I'm going fishing with them on Friday. And I got to say, so this is how my week has been. And it's Tuesday, so it's already been a long week, like what John was referring to. We had my daughter, she doesn't get sick very often. And on Monday, she had a bit of a headache. Yesterday, she had a headache. So we kept her home. She doesn't get sick, whatever, don't even care. Kept her home. Well, like a couple of kids from the vicinity had some issues with possible COVID stuff, and they linked Savvy in with that. So we had to get her tested. We had to go through that whole 9 yards. We're waiting to find out and see what's going on with that, with the whole testing thing, in order to find out if I'm going to be free on Friday or not. Just so you know, that's what's going on with that. I think everything's going to be fine. We'll see. Like, she did get tested, so we are going to see how that whole thing's going. But that's been my week. Welcome to my Monday and Tuesday. Yeah, good times. So, all of the bad week stuff aside, I'd like to take a moment to jump into a little conversation with Playin Hooky here.
Sure thing.
So first off, our whole season thing, one of the things that I kind of hate is because of you. So every year you have your whole thing where you pack up your boat because you're up there in Wisconsin.
Yeah, yep.
That hurts my feelings every time you make those posts about you packing away your boat, I got to say.
Yeah, it's short. It's super short. So we get basically May, June, July, August, and some guys use September. I basically can't use September because I teach, so I get to do the weekends and stuff, but it's unbelievably short. We pack it in. All the guys in Sheboygan try to just grind it out and run as many trips as we possibly can, but it's super short.
Yeah, and so you're ending that. You said, like, you have a hard time getting out in September?
Yeah, this year I put into storage October 15th, and honestly, that was a bit late. It's just that people come to Sheboygan on vacation for, basically the summer. A lot of people from Chicago come up, or from Minnesota. They come over to enjoy the lake, kind of beat the heat. Believe it or not, it does get hot in Wisconsin, but the lake always stays, it's 70 degrees tops. So it's almost like natural air conditioning. You get just a light breeze off the lake, and it's just absolutely gorgeous. Some days inland can be like 90, 95 degrees, and you just move to the lake, and it drops right out. So it's beautiful and really can't be beat. I love being out on Lake Michigan as much as I possibly can be.
That I fell in love with that myself. Like last summer we did Saginaw Bay.
Okay.
And so
Yeah.
different area and everything, but I fell in love with it. I did not realize what I was missing in that vicinity. So yeah, hearing you talk about that just kind of brings back. It brings back memories of being up there, and I had like this total blast. I enjoyed it. It was gorgeous, and what you're calling hot.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's relative.
It's relative for sure.
Yeah. But you know
Same
what I
as
learned?
cold for you.
Yeah, when I lived in Michigan for a couple years before I went off to the Army, and it would get like in the summertime. Sometimes it even get in the 90s, which is ridiculous because 90% of the people there had no AC.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, yeah, it might just be for a short period, but you're miserable. So I remember schools closing because of no AC and the heat waves they had. But I told Audrey, if we ever live in Michigan, I don't care. We're going to have AC in our damn house. And guess what? We got a little house in Michigan. And for right now, we got window units in that bad boy because I am not going to sit up there in 80-degree plus weather with no AC, sweat my butt off in my own house.
Yeah. For me, it's annoying. I just bought a Ram 1500, and I don't know who thought of this, but like to change the dial, like instead of the dial for the heat, to turn it up or down or whatever, like it's all the computers. So you got to press the button over and over and over again now, but it's so freaking cold when I go to work in the morning, like to get on the boat. It's like 52 degrees in the morning, and then midday it's like 85, which that's hot for us. And you got to crank the AC, and here you're sitting there like back is stuck to the seat and trying to push that button, get down there, go faster, Oh, just sweating my nuts off.
So you didn't get the fancy one. I know my brother's Dodge, he had a 3500 dually, blah, 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 because he pulled a fifth wheel. But he could remote start it, and depending on the weather, it would either turn the heat on, the heated seats and the heated steering wheel, or it'd turn the AC on and the cooled seats.
Yeah, that's what I need.
Yeah, I don't have that either.
Yeah.
I got to say, so one thing that I do every fishing trip, and it doesn't matter, it could be August. It could be 110-degree day. It'll be 85 degrees at night. But if we are going offshore, like my uncle, if we're going out into the Gulf of Mexico on a boat, it's going to be 3:30 in the morning when we wake up to like get everything going and get out the door and hop in the truck, and I'll be riding with my dad. And my dad's got a nice Ford F-150 four-wheel drive. I think it's a V8, but I don't know. Anyway, so he has heated seats, and I'm like the cheap dude. I want the rubber floor mats. I don't want the radio. Like I don't want like a cassette player, CD player, or anything like that. Like I just want whatever aux in, I guess these days. Bluetooth is kind of nice. Anyway, but he has the seat heaters, and I don't have that kind of stuff. And so I will use the seat heater. I don't care if it's like 85 degrees outside at 3:30 in the morning. I'm going to use the seat heater. Feels good on the old back before we make a run offshore. Otherwise, if it's me like riding in my truck, like I'm a windows guy. I just roll the windows down.
Do you crank them down or do you push a button?
On my truck.
On your
my truck, I just pull back on the headliner a little bit. That gives me the air that I need. But yeah, my dad's truck, he's got the button, and he's got the lighting around where you can like hit a button and change the lighting to a certain color. And I refuse to ride in that truck unless it's like a powder blue. So real quick, hey, let's take a moment. Let's say hi. We got a bunch of people in the chat. Gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank y'all guys so much for coming and hanging out with us today. We've got Mr. Brandon O'Neill, Mr. Mark Dragoo. Hope I'm pronouncing that right. Mr. Danny Baker Fishing, who was with us on a live stream a couple weeks ago. Mr. Ben Covarrubias, who was with us at Sharkathon. Sir, it's a pleasure to see you, man. Appreciate you hanging out with us. Mountain Bushcrafters Alliance, one of our good friends. He's in our whole outdoors crew group chat. We need to get him on a live stream. Okay Fishing, a buddy of mine from Tube Buddy. Appreciate you coming and saying hi. We're going to be talking to you in the near future here. Demi Hardoff. Demi, how you doing there, man? I know you from Twitter. And Sheena's Ketovore Life. Hi there. Appreciate you coming and showing some support.
Janet.
I'm scrolling down here.
Yeah,
I can't
Microsoft?
pronounce that. That's somebody spamming some websites. That is cool. Appreciate the spam there, Russian sir. Miss Barnett, hoping to get on this week. Hey, join the club on that. I was talking to my uncle when I was muted just a moment ago. I'm hoping we'll see about getting an offshore trip. They got one planned for this week. It's been several months since I've been out on one, but the whole COVID thing might be shutting us down. We're going to see how that turns out. And then over here, Rem 433 and Weekend Warrior Outdoors. Hi there. Appreciate you coming and hanging out with us off screen over here behind the scenes. There he is. Okay, we got Weekend Warrior. Now he's in the chat. How you doing there, man? Appreciate it. That's a whole behind the scenes second camera thing I have set up on Instagram in case anybody's interested. If you are, check out the links in the description down below. I have all of these gentlemen down here, links for everybody's channels and social media and all of that fun stuff. We got some great pictures, great stories and stuff like that. Speaking of which, I think it's that time to take a look at Playin Hooky. Mr. David, let's take a look at some of your pictures, man, because we need to talk about a few things here.
Boom.
Nice. Check that beast out. How crazy is that? That's a burbot. It's also called an eel pout. It's also called a lawyer fish. The funny thing is I learned about why they call that a lawyer on a charter fishing trip with a guy named John Kennedy on a boat that I used to mate on probably when I was about 19 years old. But odd little story. He was telling me all about Eel Pout Festival in Minnesota, and he said Eel Pout or lawyer fest. They're called lawyers because they're really slimy, as you can tell in the picture, and they seemingly have no backbone. And there's a group of people on there, and the one gal, I think she was like 22 years old, just got accepted to law school. So great foot in your mouth kind of moment for my captain that day. So funny. But yeah, that was the second one I had ever caught in my whole life. And the second I posted that picture, I had like 3 or 4 people asking if I would take them out and guide them on some eel pout trips. It's amazing how far social media goes and growing a business. And someday I hope to guide, but I told the person, like, I'd feel really bad guiding you for eel pout. I've only caught 3 ever in my life.
So I have to ask, for anybody who's like watched anything on my channel, I am absolutely required to ask on this. Did you eat it?
Oh yeah. Yeah, those
Nice.
are fantastic. The funny thing is, like people who have like never caught them before or never had done any research, like they throw them back immediately for whatever reason. And the first one of these I had ever caught was in June, and I had wanted to catch one for probably the last 15 years. I just didn't know how. And one of the reasons I wanted to catch one so bad is because everybody talks about how good they taste. So I really wanted to get after them. And somebody, you hear of them being caught like one here, one there, and like just kind of a fluke. And then one person that I saw had caught 4 of them in one night. I'm like, I think that might be repeatable. So I went out the next night and was able to get one myself.
I've caught one when I was up in Michigan a couple years ago, but it was one of those things you throw them back. So we threw it back.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I don't think we have those around here. They look similar to a bowfin.
Yeah.
Right. Very similar. Yep.
Or snakeheads. Some people say they look like snakeheads.
I was
we
going to
don't have
say the same
snakeheads.
thing. I never caught any of those, so this is one of those that I'm like salivating over.
Yeah, and they're a lot of fun to clean. Actually, they're kind of like, I guess we don't catch a lot of catfish, so it's I guess like skinning a catfish, but I've never personally eaten a catfish, so I guess you probably do the same thing, right? Like cut around the head and then take the pliers and peel the skin back. So it was kind of fun for me. I'm kind of a nut, I guess, in that case. I enjoy cleaning fish, so kind of fun to try something new.
Wow. So it's a skin like a catfish, not a scale.
Right, exactly. And
Okay.
I had done some, like I've watched YouTube videos about these fish several times, and every time they cleaned them, like nobody ever took the meat along the ribs, and that's something I thought like, come on, there's got to be something there. And then I tried cleaning one myself, and there is nothing between the rib bones and the skin. It's
Yeah.
odd. So I tried my absolute best to try to get anything out of there, and it's impossible. But they do have a lot of belly meat, which is as good as any of the rest of it.
Yeah,
Supposedly the liver tastes really good too, but I've never eaten anything liver before, so I guess I'm a bit apprehensive or nervous about doing that. But I've been told the liver is the best part.
I'm curious about that. I've never. I'm a huge fan of fish roe for the saltwater stuff that we catch. Like anything saltwater, it doesn't. I don't care what it is. I'm going to eat the roe. I love it to death. John, Grant, they've heard me talk about this. I've done videos. It doesn't matter. I've done it with freshwater stuff. I've done the roe with pike and some bluegills and stuff like that, and it wasn't the same. It wasn't as good, which makes me kind of like curious about things like the liver. Like I've never eaten the liver out of anything, and I'm really kind of curious about that. I have a weird fascination with eating things.
Yeah,
That's all I got.
Try it. Try it once, right?
Yeah, I mean it's worth. That calf liver is good. I don't know why there'd be any kind of difference in as far as what the liver does for a different kind of animal. I don't know.
It cleans the blood. I've eaten beef and deer liver.
Yeah, I've had chicken liver.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
I'll tell you
It's
what,
something we're probably gonna have to try.
Meat Eater has really gotten me turned on to just trying new things, and it's amazing. Like
Yeah.
all the stuff that I really thought like that'd be gross and whatever, and like he's really gotten me wanting to eat like that. I don't know, that fat behind the eyeball of a deer and stuff, and like it's interesting to me now. I still haven't done that, but would be cool.
That's how I felt when we first started. Like when I first started on YouTube, I had never eaten hardhead catfish. It was weird. Like we had this thing where we didn't eat them. We never, you never touched a hardhead catfish, and it became there's a term for that where you can't eat something because of a psychological like deal with it or whatever. There's I don't know, thing like that. But so I tried eating one time. I was camping at the beach. It was one of the early on videos that we did, and I ate one because I didn't have anything else to eat. I was like camping at the beach, and I was only going to eat what I caught. I caught hardheads. It was gross. It was bad, but it wasn't like I thought it was poisonous. I thought you couldn't eat it because there was some physical reason. It's just not as good as anything else. It actually wasn't that bad. It was just not great.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, I'm sitting here waxing on about that. You got like tons of other pictures on here. We need to get
That's a fatty. That was the first fish that guy had ever caught in his life.
What a way
All
to start.
downhill from there.
Yeah.
Yeah, no kidding,
doubt.
right?
Yeah. I half wanted to kind of circle in the picture, but you can see in the front, just below its gill plate, that fish is missing a fin. Its right pectoral fin, and they do that to identify stocked fish in Lake Michigan. They can clip any of the fins. I guess I haven't seen a tail or an anal fin clipped, but they'll even clip multiple fins. So if it was missing like a right pectoral like that one is, and then plus maybe a left ventral, they would mark that as a certain year class. But that's a truly giant lake trout. I'm guessing that one was over 20 pounds, but we just absolutely slammed the lake trout this past year. Basically, I figured out how to fish for them effectively, and it's just so much fun.
A couple of years ago, 2 years ago, I was up in Wisconsin. That was the first time I'd ever been fishing in the area. I'm a saltwater guy, but it's the first time I had been fishing in the area, freshwater, like all this kinds of stuff. And we were texting on the group message, and you invited me to come up to Sheboygan. We didn't have the ability of hitting it up in that area.
Mm-hmm.
And for 2 years now, I have seen posts like this.
Yeah.
And I've been sitting there thinking, like, what the hell did I do? What is wrong with me?
Still putting it at the bottom.
That's not every day, but golly, like there were several days this past year that we got lake trout that big. Like I said, I was able to learn a lot this past year, and I've been charter fishing for like 15 years, and I would say I learned the most this past summer than I had in any other year, probably besides my first real full-time season. I learned a lot that season, but it's amazing the amount that I learned after all that time. And that's kind of what I like about fishing Lake Michigan. There's always something new, so it's always a good time, and we don't always catch fish like that, but anytime you go out, you always have the chance, right? You can't get them on your sofa.
How's it eaten? How are they eaten?
So lake trout like that,
Their mouths.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. Someone's got jokes.
Yeah. A big lake trout like that is really fatty, and they're fantastic smoked. A lot of guys, I guess they get kind of a bad rap on the Great Lakes. I'm not exactly sure why that is. A lot of like your salmon, king salmon, coho salmon, rainbow trout, those are better on the grill. But something this size, you definitely wouldn't want to grill up. Like you'd almost probably put out the fire with the fat that would drip off of it. And actually, even if you smoke it, like the bottom of whatever you put it in after, it's just going to be completely caked in like a grease. But I absolutely love it. You take it, put it on a cracker, phenomenal. It's lake trout is my favorite smoked, way better than Chinook salmon in my opinion. And this one, yeah, you'd definitely be able to tell there's a lot of grease in there. The smaller ones, you can basically do anything. You could lay it on the grill too, but I personally think if you do anything with a lake trout other than smoke it, you're kind of wasting it.
They always say the fatty fish are the ones you want to smoke.
Yep, exactly. And this year, there's a couple of different strains of lake trout in Lake Michigan. Lake trout are native to the lake. They're the only game fish, the only, I guess, trout or salmon species you could say that's native to the lake. And in, like the 40s, they were overfished about the same time that the sea lamprey was introduced to Lake Michigan. So if you're not familiar with sea lampreys, they're a jawless fish, similar to like an eel, and they attach the fish, kind of suck the blood and guts and organs and skin, and eventually kill the fish. But they really took a toll on the lake trout population. Now the National Fish and Wildlife Service stocks the lake with lake trout, and it's a huge controversy, honestly, because I guess 1964 they started planting coho salmon, and then after that came the Chinook salmon and the rainbow trout and the brown trout, and that provided such a fantastic sport fishery that now like the sport guys only want to have like as many Chinooks as they possibly can have, and Chinooks are king salmon, but the Chinooks eat way more biomass, like alewife, which is our bait fish, and so there was for a little while at least kind of a guessing game as to how much alewife was available in the lake, and some people were saying it's being overstocked with kings. So Fish and Wildlife Service continues to stock the lake trout no matter what, and some guys were kind of pissed at that because they don't fight quite as hard as a Chinook salmon. Like they don't make line peeling runs when we're trolling, so it's a bit of an area of contention for sure. I don't mind lake trout. Like I would rather have a lake trout than nothing for sure. But I guess when you're talking about like what brings more people to our state and our city, it's definitely the king salmon that brings more than anything.
Ben Kovarubi says, is the rod in the back road shot, is that bent over with a fish, or is that just from like trolling? You got something on the bottom?
Downrigger.
Really good question. A lot of people ask that. Yeah, you're exactly right. That's a downrigger. As you like just past to the right of his body, that white thing, there's a spool on there with some heavy cable, and that rod is bent over because it's attached to a 12-pound weight that's hanging on that cable. We attach the line, it's 20-pound monofilament. We attach the mono to a rubber band, and then we take that rubber band and attach it to a downrigger ball. And then my downriggers are electric, and you just push the button, and there's a digital counter that's on the side, and you just send it down. Like if you want it 50 feet down, you just go until the digital counter reads 50 and set it there.
You're looking for a thermocline when you're doing that?
A lot of times, yeah, if you can find one. I also have a temperature probe, which is on the opposite downrigger of where that one is. But that gives me my speed and my temperature where the downrigger ball is. Sometimes you can find a break. Sometimes early in the year, there's no temperature variance whatsoever, but it's definitely helpful to find a temperature break. Sometimes you can even mark a temp break like on your electronics, like on the fish locator, because you'll notice like a little like wavy line on there, and you can see where that temp break is on there. But yeah, it's definitely helpful to be able to find a temp break. Lake trout just like the bottom, big lake trout like that anyway. But they also like it cold. You can catch lake trout up on the surface if the water is freezing cold.
Yeah, my brother was he was in Vermont for the last couple of years, and I didn't get an opportunity. Like we're going to talk more about this in the future. We're going to be back up there in Wisconsin this summer, and I do plan on trying to set something up with my family and going and finally hooking up and doing some of this. I really want to do like some of this stuff that you got. There's your boat right there. So I want to be jumping in on that with you guys.
Yeah, it's sad. I made a Snapchat one time, and the caption on it was, "I wonder if she thinks about me when I'm not there." Because yeah, it's looking good there. That's probably like one of the first days it's in the water, so it's all nice and shined up. And
yeah, I know that feeling.
Yeah, but that'll spoil you being out on that for the first time. Like that's the second largest boat that charter fishes in our community. So it's definitely a little overkill, but like I learned on a 16-foot boat, my dad's little boat that we had 2 downriggers on, and so I know the extremes, and I know the fun it is in both instances. So.
Hey, Grant, I'm curious, how far are you from Sheboygan? And speaking of Wisconsin people, we got JNC No Limit TV, who we need to chat. We need to chat because I know that you're talking about like making a comeback. JNC No Limit TV was one of the original like OG fishing channels that we were all into back in the day here. Also out of the Wisconsin area, even though he's a Vikings fan, but that's fine. No one's going to hold that against him.
Minnesota.
Speak for yourself.
Right.
He's in northern Wisconsin, but he's a Vikings fan.
There you go. Yeah.
It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing for him. but if you're making a comeback and doing that whole thing, man, we need to get you on here. We need to chat. Let's do it. Let's get this whole ball rolling on this, man. I've been missing you guys too. I'm curious to hear how the family's doing. It's been a minute, and I apologize for that.
So you mentioned second biggest boat in the fleet around you. What's the biggest?
Biggest is just a little bit bigger, and I bought it. I bought this boat from the guy who owns that. He's got a 41-foot Chris Craft. This is a Chris Craft also, but it's either of these boats is definitely overkill.
Right.
But it's nice. Like
but the comfort of doing any trip on a boat like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the amount of people. How many people will you take?
I'm legally licensed up to 6 people. It's the most common license pretty much anywhere. I would imagine it's called the 6-pack, and
it's the same for us down here. It's a 6-pack.
Yeah, I think I don't even know because I haven't even looked into it. I would assume that same license would be fine on like intercoastal waters or like out to some number of miles offshore or some certain tonnage, so long as I have 6 people or less on the boat.
Gotcha. So, say somebody's watching, they're like, I want to make that 10 or 15-hour drive to come see Dave.
I was going to ask what that drive is for you, Grant.
It's about 9 hours for me, and
Ooh.
I'm kind of asking this question for the watcher, the viewer, but I'm
Yeah.
also asking for me.
Yeah.
And I know we've talked about this before, and I'm pretty sure you said June. But
Yeah.
if somebody wanted to come fish with you, what's the best time per se? Like
Yeah.
on average, when you have the best weather, when you catch the most fish, and also what fish are you most comfortable catching on Playin Hooky?
Yeah, really good questions, and questions I get asked in nearly every phone call that I take. Ooh, what a nice fish.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's see here. So when would be the best time? Um, I the last several years have really been good in June. Um, but some years it takes a little bit longer for the fish to get to our area. Um, the king salmon, especially, kind of migrate in our lake through the winter. They head to the southern basin, find and uh, hang out somewhere. But as the spring kind of progresses, you can see them come up the shoreline, and starting. We can see them in Chicago, then in Milwaukee and Port Washington, and then up in Sheboygan, and then you can see it continue up through Manitowoc Two Rivers, all the way up through the northern edges of the lake. But it just depends on kind of when the fish finally get there. The last couple of years, like I said, it's been really good right away in June. Um, my first trip of the season last year, we were catching lake trout this size April 30th. So, I mean, it could be anytime, and it really stays pretty good throughout the summer through July and August. We definitely had a stretch of about 2 weeks, I think, like July 10th through maybe July 24th or somewhere in there, where the fishing was really, really tough this past summer. Yeah, weather patterns typically stabilize maybe mid June or so, and that's when you want to come out, is when the weather patterns are the best, because either we're going to catch fish or we're not, but you'd rather be on flatter water than tossing and turning in 4-foot waves. So the biggest thing, if you have a little bit flexibility and you're closer to where I am, watching the Facebook page or giving me a call is definitely a little bit better, especially if you're a little bit more flexible. But I understand that's not true for everybody, and maybe you want to plan something right now. Like I said, June really has been a little bit more productive than the rest as of lately.
Yeah, Living in is saying that July has been good for him on lake.
I'm glad John's in here. He's a prospective mate for me for the next season coming up here. So I think he just maybe turned 14, I believe. Diehard sportsman from Wisconsin, just a little bit south of where I'm from. So glad that he is taking the initiative and coming and seeing. And I know he fishes the lake a lot with his dad. He actually booked a trip with me this past summer, and surprised the heck out of me. He was noticing bites like before me or my mate. So that's a good telltale sign he'll make a good mate. And as long as you're out there and getting a little bit of experience, but I think this can be taught to a lot of people. But if you already have a good base to begin with, that's a good start. But I think honestly, charter fishing more than anything, just the ability to kind of chat it up and keep conversation going with everybody.
Sorry about that, John.
No, you weren't.
Well,
no, you aren't.
You know what's funny about that is your face was covered up by the comment down there, and so I saw you doing that in the behind the scenes, like whole thing over here. So I've got everybody's face on the bottom of the screen, so I can see what everybody's doing aside from just what's the presentation. I saw you doing it on the bottom of the screen. I was like, "The hell is he doing?" And then I looked at the screen and I saw that you were doing it exactly with the comment on there. I was like, "Oh man, I'm blocking your face. I'm sorry about that." Sorry to say, you came at the cost of some pretty good pictures, though. When we went up there on our run last summer, it was an amazing trip. Like last year, we went and did Saginaw Bay. We went and did some fishing on Lake Michigan, and then we made the trip. Thanks to Steve from Hall and Ash advised that we should go up around the UP and then back down around Wisconsin, and did to visit my family back down there in Janesville area.
Sure.
So we made that whole big loop all the way around. And at one of the stops that we made was Emerald Springs up in the UP. And there was the trout that they had. It was like a 40-foot deep spring, absolutely crystal clear. And it was everything that we could do to keep me from like jumping in and just diving down to them trout that were sitting down the bottom. Because I swear those things were like 36, 48-inch trout that were swimming right down there. And it was making me hungry. We actually stopped by a jerky store and I bought a bunch of chunks of smoked salmon that I was like, as we're driving down through Wisconsin, I was just like gnawing on a big chunk of smoked salmon for lunch. It was so good.
It's good. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure. I've never been to Emerald Springs. Is that Wisconsin or the UP?
That was Upper Peninsula. I cannot remember the name of the town. We did a video on that whole like trip. I don't remember the name of the town because there was like 80 towns that we ended up passing through. But it was right there by where we stayed the night up in the Upper Peninsula.
I just for the first time went all the way around the lake with my wife this past fall, November. And it's an amazing drive, isn't it? Like being along Lake Huron and then Lake Michigan for that amount of distance. It's gorgeous.
We went up there. We all met up in Saginaw Bay in Au Gres, and it was an amazing. Like it was raining,
Right.
and for us it was cold and miserable. Like it was 50-something degrees at night. It was 50-something degrees, and we were like freezing. It was cold, but we expected Detroit, and then we got all of that. We got what was that town, John? I apologize. Au Gres was gorgeous, but what was that town north of Au Gres where we stayed
Tawas.
Tawas City was just amazing. It was like down here we have Port Aransas on the coast, and Tawas City was like Port Aransas on a really good day. Like if they had just like totally rebuilt Port Aransas, it was so gorgeous. And then of course everything up and around the entire lake, all the way around, was just blew me away. I was not expecting it at all.
Yeah, I skipped Au Gres when I was on my way up, but I hit up Tawas and kind of went along the eastern edge of the lower peninsula there and went through Mackinac City. But yeah, it's I just couldn't believe it. And for miles and miles and miles, you're just driving right along the shoreline and undeveloped. It's like all that land is worth a freaking fortune.
Yeah.
Yep, absolutely.
John's got property. We didn't stay at your house. We had a little bit to drink that day.
We
stayed with you guys.
The cookout, the fish fry, all that was at the house.
Yeah. We ended up staying at the hotel, like in the town just south of there. That's right. Took a second.
Yeah.
And I'm envious of that. After that whole thing, like one of the things I came back with was like, what's for sale in your vicinity? Because I wanted more of that. I'm not done with it.
Yeah. I I go up there and it's like almost like going to the beach here. It's like I decompress.
Yeah.
When I get in Au Gres, it's like slower pace, small town, know everybody around the house, throw some food on and other people are there, whatever. You know what I mean? It's just nobody's stressing about crap up there. That's what I like about it.
I totally agree with you. And that's how we felt. Like we were on those, just a rare setup where it was like we didn't have to worry about anything. We were up there. We were there to enjoy ourselves. We weren't on a specific time frame. We could just exist and be.
Mm-hmm.
It was really, really a unique experience on top of how beautiful everything was. Dave, real quick, Danny Baker down here, he's in our vicinity, but he does a lot of good trout fishing. In fact, Danny Baker, he was on the show with us a couple weeks ago. He does some trout fishing in the vicinity. I plan on hitting him up for some rainbow trout and stuff like that in our area. He's asking if you guys have any good trout streams for fly fishing in your vicinity.
Yeah, and in fact, we've got two different sets of water that we have. We have our inland waters where you can get your you stock basically all of our trout streams are stocked. I would say like if you get like a 10, 11 inch rainbow, like that would be good, or like a 13, 14 inch brown trout, that's kind of on the upper edge of it. But if you hit up like the tributaries, so like Michigan, it's kind of a debate again with the Michigan guys, especially versus like the Pacific Northwest. The rainbow trout in Lake Michigan, a lot of guys call them steelhead. Michigan, if you check the stocking data, Michigan stocks the rainbow trout in the lake and identifies them as steelhead trout, whereas Wisconsin stocks them and calls them rainbow trout. They're all the same fish. They're doing the exact same thing, but
there's a real debate up there over that.
It's amazing.
If they're only in the lake, there are certain, but they go in rivers, then they're the other, and
yeah. Or like what fascinates me to those guys in the Pacific Northwest is supposedly like if a steelhead swims up into the river, lays eggs, what hatches out of that egg is a rainbow trout until it swims into the ocean. Whatever.
God.
It's all. Yeah.
I've never heard any of that before. This is all new to me.
Yeah.
And this is like down here we've got the kingfish versus the Atlantic kingfish versus the speckled trout ridiculousness on a whole other level. Like,
yeah, it's weird. Like some guys think that because they never touch salt water, they can't be called a steelhead, which I mean, genetically, there's no difference. There is literally no difference between that fish and the one in Washington. They were taken from Washington, spawned out, put in a little barrel of water with, the eggs and the sperm, chucked in, after the fish hatch, chucked in our river and swam out into the lake. And they're using that reproduction cycle over and over and over again. So, huge debate. But anyway, where I'm getting with this is those rainbow trout, as well as the brown trout, as well as coho salmon, king salmon, pink salmon, even lake trout you'll get in our rivers. And you can target those. There's just tons of places. Basically, like if you look at Google Maps, anywhere that has a little trickle coming into the lake, there's a good chance that even if it wasn't stocked, you'll find rainbows, browns, king salmon, and coho salmon. And I mean, they're like talking like 10-pound fish are somewhat common. A 25-pound Chinook salmon you can catch on a fly rod, which would be absolutely ridiculous. I don't fly fish at all, but it's definitely possible. And a lot of guys do that. It's just not really my thing. I don't have enough time for it more than anything.
Hey, Danny follows that up saying, "You guys got any cutthroat or brook?"
No cutthroat. They just started stocking like Michigan with brook trout again after like a 15 or 20 year hiatus. I guess probably even longer than 20 years, maybe like 25 years. But we do have stocked brook trout again in our inland streams. I think I caught a 12-inch brook trout one time on a night crawler, which that would have been my biggest and probably pretty big for a lot of people.
Yeah, that's a big brook trout.
Some of them though, like if you're up in, I don't know what it's called, that bay, Hudson Bay, I guess brook trout are native to there, and they swim down into the tributaries to there, and they're called coasters. And like that would be the most similar to like what kind of brook trout we have in Lake Michigan, because they can reach 4 or 5 pounds, which would be like 17, 18, 19 inches.
This whole conversation, I just have to say on this is, it's making me so hungry.
No doubt.
I just stocked up on I just did a fishing trip. I've got a video coming out here. I'm not sure when it's going to release. I'm assuming it's going to be releasing next week. But we did a pretty good day out here on the beach. I got a bunch of whiting and sharks and stingray. And I'm going to eat every single one of those. But then I'm hearing about salmon, and I'm hearing about, like all the variety of species and stuff that you're talking about. And I'm like, I'm going to be eating a stingray.
I'm interested though. I did some flounder gigging in North Carolina, and the captain that we were with wouldn't let us spear any stingrays, which I guess is understandable. But I'm at least intrigued.
It's not bad. I like stingray. I'll eat every single one. I harvest them. My family has zero problems with me harvesting them. My family is really weird about some of the stuff that we harvest and eat. Yeah, perfect example is we have this huge, or my family has this huge, I don't know, aversion to Bermuda chub. I did a video about that last summer. I ate one, and my whole family was like, "You are disgusting," and they disowned me for eating a Bermuda chub.
You're
But
banned from the family.
yeah, exactly. Like my dad was like, I don't want to shake your hand for like the next month. But no problems with stingray. No problems with I ate a hake, and everybody was like down on the hake and stuff too. And
That deep water one.
yeah, but I got comments from people in England who are like, "Why are you even making this video? This is what I buy from McDonald's every day." So I don't know.
Is a hake similar to a flounder?
Hake is similar to like cod.
Cod. Okay.
I don't
Gotcha.
Oh,
that's
but
delicious.
yeah, like so we're good with hake and we're good with stingray and some weird species and stuff. But my wife can't eat snook.
Um,
Yeah, I don't know.
I've never had it, so that's
It's the species that you like. You come down here, the species that you look for are going to be like speckled trout, redfish, snook, and they're fine.
Some snapper.
Yeah.
That's it. But yeah, if you're going like John said, like if you're going for like you want to catch something to actually eat, there's a big difference between the sports fish that you're going to catch, which are going to be your redfish, your trout, your snook, and some other species. Big difference between that and the taste of like a sheep's head or a snapper, your mangrove, your red snapper, things like that. Like those things are going to taste so much better, pompano, than like redfish is okay.
And my
but
first
snook,
this year or last year.
yeah, and jackfish is another one. Like I'm not I do not like jackfish. That's our family despises jackfish, and I've had people argue with me. They said no, there's nothing wrong with jackfish. It's perfectly good, and I will totally argue against that. I don't like jackfish.
I hear people like certain types of jack, yellow jack and stuff like that, different than a jack.
There is a
Creole.
difference. Yeah, you got horse eyes, and you got there's different ones. That's sure. But I mean, just like a straight up Jack Crevalle.
Yeah.
There's apparently a difference between an offshore Jack Crevalle and an inshore Jack Crevalle as far as like the worms that they get.
Yeah, I can see that. I guess.
That's something I'm going to have to experiment or something because I don't know. I've never eaten an offshore Jack Crevalle. I've eaten the inshores, seen the worms, and I'm like,
I was in Mexico one time, and the first fish of the day was a Jack Crevalle, and I didn't know, like, I'm from Wisconsin, so I don't know anything about all that, but here he starts dicing it up on the boat and throwing some lime juice on it and cilantro and all, or whatever, onions, and I don't know what the heck he put into it, but then we just ate it on chips. I just thought, like,
Oh,
the best
ceviche.
thing ever. Ceviche, and that was the first
Yeah.
time I ever had it. And I told somebody later that we had that with Jack Crevalle. He's like, I don't know how you could have possibly done that.
Man,
Like, I can't imagine that would have been like. I would imagine that tastes like garbage.
protein. I like that.
I don't know. Some guy with I never met, didn't speak English, is just slicing and dicing up on the back of the boat, and I didn't know any better. I thought it was fantastic. I would do it again.
oh,
Yeah.
hey, live in Minnesota. It says worms. It's just extra protein.
Yep.
We need to talk. We need to do a collaboration here. That's you just created a collaboration with my channel right there. I'm gonna catch a Jack Crevalle and I'm gonna send you some meat and you're gonna cook it up and I'm gonna do the catch, you do the cook, and then we're gonna meet on the in between.
Yeah, it's the same thing. Ben said something about snook. He had heard that it tastes like soap if you cook it with the skin on. I've heard that too. And
I have
Shannon's
heard that.
saying same thing. Never cook it with the skin on. That's weird.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So in the chat down here, guys, talk about the spam. I don't know. Here's the deal. I don't know what's going on with that. I don't know anybody who's like watching this after the fact, or if you're watching us behind the scenes or anything like that. We got a bunch of spam in the chat. Awesome. Cool. That's rad. I don't know where that's coming from. I don't know why we're getting it or why they think this is going to be successful. It's not going to be. We have like the best moderation in the absolute world over here. It just
I've,
means that we're going places. So
I've seen it in a lot of live streams lately.
yeah. Thanks,
First time I've
YouTube.
ever seen it in ours.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, me too.
Right. So, what is the go-to the filet mignon fish of Wisconsin?
Yes.
That's
I would say most people like walleyes. It seems like if people are,
Yeah,
for
okay.
whatever reason, guys really go after the walleyes. I'm a bit indifferent, I guess you could say. I like panfish more than anything else, or
crappie.
yeah, crappie, bluegill, perch. I like eating northern pike. One thing that's nice about like there's about a million things that are bad with the northern pike, but they taste fantastic. Like they've got teeth, so like people don't like to target them, and they
Well, I'm
cut
filleting
your
them.
line. What's that?
Filleting them with all the bones is
Yeah, they've got a ton of
That's the problem
bones.
we had. Was those what do you call J bones, Y bones,
My
whatever you call
bones,
them?
yeah, they're slimy as all get out. So there's about a million reasons to not like pike, but I'll tell you what, they're always hungry and they taste fantastic. So they're my they're my target as far as like making a fish fry, because you need like one fish will feed two people, sort of thing.
Yeah.
But I mean, it all kind of depends on what your tastes are. A lot of people like salmon and trout too. I like doing fish boils with my salmon, or smoking big king salmon or lake trout. So it all depends on what style you like. But as far as like fish fries, Wisconsin fish fries are a big thing, and yeah, you can't beat like I think like perch or bluegills or crappies, something small, tight meat structure, So, and kind of the nice thing is like with northern pike, it seems like no matter what, no matter how big they get, they're always still going to be good. Whereas like a walleye, if you catch one over 21 inches, yeah, you can tell from pretty much everybody who's ever kept an 8, a 21, 22, 23-inch walleye, that unless you prepare it, like really take your time to prepare it and thin it, slice it thinly, that they can taste kind of crummy as well. So
Hooked up backlash says waiting for A&J Outdoors to take him crappie fishing. All I got to say is get in line, buddy.
hey, I gotta find a crappie. I can't find a crappie anymore right now in Central Texas. I haven't caught a crappie in 2 years. I've gone crappie fishing and I've caught bass and everything, but I have not caught a crappie in 2 years. It's killing me.
you have black crappies
that
down there?
long.
Say again?
Do you have any black crappies or just white crappies?
We got both. We got black
both.
and white.
Yeah. We do too. We don't have as many white crappies as far as I know, but I smacked a few nice black crappies over Christmas break. And I don't know, like 14. I caught a 14-inch crappie that's pretty dang decent for our neck of the woods. So, yeah. Never got a picture of it. We were slamming them like crazy that day. Not necessarily all that big, but several like 10 to 12 inches. And I didn't want to put the jig stick down, which is pretty uncommon for me. Normally I like setting my tip up so nice and watching the flags, and that's about it. So.
Yeah, that's cool.
Mm-hmm. So I was going to say, it's been a while since I've seen John catch a crappie.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
You know how you fish spots? Well, the spots aren't working, so now I got to find. You got to go out and do some more reconning and find new areas. Our lake, that Canyon Lake especially, has changed. There used to be like all the bass fishermen complain that there's no plant life in that lake. It's rocky. It's a canyon that they dammed up, so it's full of rocks. But now it's got grass or whatever hydrilla growing. If you're towards the riverside, if you're under 20 foot of water, that stuff would be growing all the way up to the top of the water because it's super clear lake, so the sun penetrates it. So now where we used to fish is just full of that stuff, and it's just hard to fish in that. So got to learn new tricks. bass fishermen love it.
We went up to for Thanksgiving. We were up there at Canyon Lake, and I followed your explicit directions, and you guided me to some spots that looked really, really good. We found fish on the fish finder. We weren't able to get into them. I know there's fish around, but I mean, I'm inexperienced, and I have zero say on anything at all. But we had a difficult time getting into them, and I tried freaking everything to catch what we found, and we found them, just couldn't get them.
JNC's right. White bass are pretty good too. I don't think white bass personally is as good as crappie, but I won't turn down a plate of white bass. Hopefully, me and my buddies are getting some white bass here in a couple weeks, but we'll see.
If you need anybody to scrub decks,
Full boat this trip.
I know a guy. I understand. I totally understand. I'm also very accustomed to getting shut down on that comment. I'm still going to make that comment. And I will earn my keep scrubbing decks. I'm just going to say that.
Yep.
I will put in physical
Grant,
labor.
I haven't seen you catch a crappie in a minute either. Where's the crappie at down?
I was going to say.
Okay, today's Tuesday. Duck season goes out 2 weeks from today. And not saying it's going to be any good the last 2 weeks, but I will definitely be crappie fishing in 2 weeks or a little longer than that.
Good to hear it. Good to hear it. Ooh, we're getting low. We're getting down on the downhill side here. Quick.
So, Dave,
So,
is there any fish that you haven't caught that you want to catch? What's your white whale fish to catch?
yeah, what's a bucket list?
Oh, I haven't thought of this question in a while because I had been hung up on the eel pout or that burbot, that first fish that you showed, for quite some time that I guess I haven't thought of a new one yet. I'll go saltwater, and it's such an easy one for probably saltwater guys, but I would love to catch a mahi, and they've just I've booked trips for them, and every single trip that I've booked has been blown out. So I know they're like one of the ocean's most prolific fish, but I just think they look so cool, and I really want to get one. But every trip that I have had booked, it's just nasty weather and can't make it out. I don't know. I guess that would be the one for me at the moment. I've caught tuna and I guess roosterfish too, because I actually went out and had an opportunity to target those and wasn't able to connect on those. But
Nice.
that would be another good one, I guess.
Right.
Nice.
Sounds good. I like that answer.
That sounds really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. And some of those are on my roosterfish I've never touched yet. Tuna I haven't caught.
I hadn't done that one either.
Oh, they're kind of a tuna. No, they're not. So yeah, I haven't caught a
That's
tuna yet.
but so I've caught some. I have been involved in, like, I've done swordfish, I've done big sharks, I've done like a lot of different kind of fish. But outside of bonita, I have not caught tuna.
Yeah.
So I am using bonita as my I've caught tuna.
I'm not doing it. I won't stoop to that. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it.
I guess
I've been on a boat that has caught tuna. I just didn't catch it. It just wasn't my rod that got him.
Yeah.
So what do you guys got coming out over the next week, 2 weeks, whatever going on coming up? I know Stanley just posted a video yesterday. Stanley, was your giveaway video?
Yeah. So real quick, we're gonna go. We'll wrap things up here in just a moment. But we have a link in the description down below. There is a giveaway going on our channel right now. Shannon in the chat down there. I believe you did not win it a couple years ago. If I recall, I'm rooting for you to win this one. We have our annual channel giveaway going on. All you've got to do is check out the link in the description down below for the playlist. There are clues hidden in the season of videos that we just put out. Follow those clues. There are 2 prizes to be won: a gift card and an actual treasure chest buried on Padre Island. Jump in on that. Get yourself some channel prize gift card or a buried treasure. We're having some fun with it. Go watch some videos. Enjoy it. That's
Very
what I got
cool.
coming up.
Grant, what you got?
I
Duck
should
hunting.
have some good footage from duck hunting last Monday, or last Sunday, but I haven't even looked at it yet. We've got duck season another 2 weeks. Things are frozen up. It's going to be 50 tomorrow. It's just stupid weather for duck hunting.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
Playin
Deer
Hooky?
bow season goes out Sunday. I probably won't bow hunt again.
Yeah.
Oddly enough, I do have some content that I'm going to be putting up tomorrow on my YouTube channel. Little muskrat trapping with my son Landon and my friend Mitch. So I've never posted a trapping video before. I don't know a whole lot about trapping, but luckily my friend Mitch does, and we really hit the rats that day. So I'm looking forward to
I've
posting
seen some of
that.
the pictures.
Yeah, Landon had a good time, and I learned quite a bit. Hopefully, somebody's able to gain some amount of knowledge from it. But it's more, I would say, it has a lot more entertainment than education value.
Very cool. I don't have anything on my main channel coming out, but for those of you that don't know, we rebirthed the vlog channel. That link has been in the chat there somewhere. So there's going to be a new vlog coming out Thursday on that channel, and then tied to that vlog, of course, there'll be a podcast wherever you find podcasts, Spotify, iTunes, all that will also be coming out Thursday morning. So that's all I got coming up. I got a fishing trip, like I said, in a couple weeks. I'm going to try to find some crappie and white bass. Fingers crossed we get on some fish and get some good video too. That's it for me.
All right. Then it is that time. We've been at it for over an hour here. Everybody is worn out. I'm sorry to say that drinks are empty. So it's time to go and get a refill. Gentlemen, thank you so much for keeping me company on a wonderful Tuesday afternoon. I want to thank everybody in the chat for coming and hanging out. If you can't tell, you wore me out because I've been sitting here like typing and muting and like behind the scenes doing the whole. Thank you so much for like making me like earn my keep this afternoon. I really, really appreciate it. I appreciate you coming and joining us. I hope you have a wonderful week, and I look forward to seeing you next week on John's channel down here. John, what have we got going on for next week? What can we expect as we make our way out the door?
It's going to be on Grant's channel. Right, Grant? You got a guess, right?
Next week. I apologize. I'm sorry about that.
It's all good. Yep.
Who's
Next
your
week
guest?
we got Jag Fishing going to join us special guest.
Nice.
Another OG in the community. Guys, links in the description down below for everybody's channel. David, Playin Hooky Sports Fishing. I got his link in the description down below as well. Also, the Discord and everything. Thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it, man.
Thank you very much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Very cool.
It's been a pleasure. Had fun. This hour went by like really, really fast for me.
Thanks, Dave.
All right. I'm cutting it off.
Thank you very much, guys.
Have a wonderful day. Thank you so much. We did enjoy it, and we look forward to seeing y'all on the next one next week.
Peace out. That wasn't the extro or the outro.